Hello, everybody. Welcome to another SJ Games Live. You may hear some background noise because we are at Retailer Appreciation Day. So, welcome. We got a bunch of retailers from around the country here playing games, playing demos, learning games. And right now, we have a Munchkin Collectible card game demo happening. So I'm going to cut over to the image from that. I'll be kind of commentating on that. Again, there's going to be background noise. People are talking. It just is what it is here. So sorry about the noise in the background, but I'll be watching comments and we'll be live casting this draft. So let's go getting over to it. And it looks like the drafters have their first pack. So one big difference, if you've watched our demos or playthroughs before, you'll notice in draft it's a little bit different because you can draft cards from any hero. Everyone's going to have what's called a Goldfish Wanderer card. Sounds like they're getting set up. Sorry. So in the game, normally you build your deck around your one hero. So in this version, you'll be able to draft any kind of card to go with that. So that's something you'll notice. It is a little bit different than a normal game, but nothing too complicated. Let's see, so I believe they've had their first couple picks there. And again, these are all first-time players, so the draft strategy may not be much here other than see a cool card, take a cool card. But we'll probably have a little bit more to say when it gets to the actual game itself. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please ask that. I'm watching our live stream on Facebook and am willing to answer any questions you guys have, within reason, of course. Oh, and quick shout out to Eric at the office who made the playmats, and Andrew Frisch who designed them. He did the design, Eric did the actual physical creation of those. Those will not be for sale. Actually, some retailers may have them if they get them from this event, and we'll be using them on live streams. You might have seen them in our previous couple of streams as well. So, yeah, thank you for that, Eric. Okay. Oh, just to clarify on the draft format again, they are doing 4 booster packs. These obviously are not final cards. These are just randomized printed cards that we had made. Each of those Ziploc bags represents 1 booster pack. So right now they are on the first pack and moving into pack 2 after that. So, no, there is sound, Erskine. Thanks for that question. We do not have the people mic'd up because it's going to the seats may change out as people play. But I am answering questions live here. This is Hunter from SJ Games. So feel free to ask anything here. I will be commenting on some of the stuff as they draft. Again, it is a draft, so there's a lot of different cards happening here. We'll probably have more information as we get into an actual game. I am muting occasionally just because some of the feedback. You may hear me typing in the background occasionally because I'm typing on answers. So just since we're starting to get more viewers, I'm going to go through the draft rules one more time. So what we're doing right now is a four booster draft. Normally in the Munchkin Collectible card game, you build around your hero. So like if you're a warrior, you can put in warrior cards and neutral cards. However, in a draft, since things aren't as focused, we'll be using cards from any deck. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see that little guy in a fishbowl. That's the Goldfish Wander hero. It's a neutral hero, and means you can play any hero's cards in your deck. So in a draft, you can draft from any hero's cards. Just so you guys know, for you guys that are veterans to drafting, that is how that works. In a draft, if you aren't veteran to drafting, you open a booster pack, which in this case are simulated via those Ziploc bags full of cards. You take one card, pass it to your right or your left, and then take it from the pack that you get passed. You take another card and go around like that. And we're here at the Retailer Appreciation Day. So a lot of the faces or arms you might see, more like arms you might see, are actually game stores from around the country who have come down to visit us and play games and learn about our upcoming releases. We invite them once a year to come down and hang out. Go live again.
Camera seems to be set up pretty good.
So, folks, if you have any questions, just please let me know. I think we're just finishing up with. We're getting close to the end of the first pack. Might be at the end of the first pack here. No, not the end. Actually, no, I think we might be in the second pack here. I might be behind by one. Sorry about that. We've got audio, John. Thank you.
What's that?
So sorry, it keeps muting in and out. We just have a lot of background noise, so I'd rather not leave it running when people are asking questions in person to me. Just so you know, if you hear no audio, there is audio. I promise you. Hi, Robert. So to answer your question, there are 304 cards in the set. There are 3 starters. The cards in the starters, I believe. Let me actually ask that real quick. And the starter cards are in the main set as well. The hero cards aren't exactly the same, so you can get heroes through boosters, but the art is different. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. Sorry about the long times of silence. People keep walking up and asking me questions. But that is cool because that's what we're here for. Again, this is live from Retail Appreciation Day, so you may see the arms and voice. You might hear a voice here and there of a game store that you know. We have about 20 or 30 stores here, I believe. So about 60-ish people playing games, and we don't just have Munchkin CCG, although that is the one we're focused on now. We also have tables set up with Ogre, Dungeon Fantasy, Simon's Cat, tons of Munchkin, like Munchkin Shakespeare, things like that. But there's a lot of stuff happening here, and a lot of noise. So, another question here. Let me actually pull up my video at a little bit better of a screen here. Keep track of it a little bit easier. There we go. So, Mike Klimovich. No, this is nothing like the Munchkin board game. So, what you're looking at here, it's Munchkin themed, but it's a completely different game. So, what you're looking at here is you're hiring monsters to attack your opponent and lower their life from 20 to 0. If you look in the description of this video, there's actually a couple of videos we linked to. That there's like a walkthrough of a full game. There's a couple of demos that we did. But what you have a hero. So there's 6 different heroes in the first set. You build a deck with that hero and neutral cards. Your deck will have stuff like monsters to attack your opponent. You'll have weapons like loot like weapons and armor to defend yourself. You'll hire allies that'll also help defend yourself and give you abilities. And you'll have mischief cards, which are like events and one-time use spells and things like that. So the goal in this, you do level up every turn, but your level determines how much gold you get every turn and how much loot you can have in play. So leveling up doesn't win you the game. Winning the game is attacking your opponent, getting them to 0 life, and you do that by hiring monsters and bluffing your opponent. Right now, everyone's in the middle of drafting. I believe we're on pack 2. Might be on pack 3.
We destroy most of these? Nice. And then the OP based on ordering it. You know, I don't want to give you the wrong answer where what we've been doing is trying to make it. That's the reason we're trying to give it.
Mike, sorry, just saw your question pop up. It took a second to refresh. The booster packs are $3.95. The starter decks are $19.95. The starter deck comes with 240 card decks, tokens, and all that stuff. So it's enough for 2 people to play right out of the box. Decks are 40 cards in this. They're not available yet. You'll find them at your local game store. It's coming out in February 2018. And while we're at it, since I did share this in our retailer group, if any retailers have any questions about it, please feel free to ask that as well. We've got a ton of retailers here as well at our event, so hopefully we get to see you guys next year at our next retailer event, because these seem to be really popular. Well, Al, these are going to be drafting decks, so it's going to be hard to tell which one's better other than playing them. I know in the starters, they all seem very well balanced, actually. We just played the Wizard versus the Bard last week on SJ Games Live. If you want to check that out, I have the link in that description above. The Wizard won, spoiler alert, but I feel like I had a chance. I was in the game as the Bard. I got him to 14 damage. So I had him almost finished, but didn't get him down. I personally like the Warrior a lot. They can zap to do some damage on their own, which is really cool. The Cleric is one I want to play a little bit more. He gets to heal and prevent damage, so that's a really cool mechanic that I like to mess around with. And I am just liking comments as I answer those. So if you happen to get a like on it, that's because I mentioned it. You can also consider this a little bit of dry run. We do want to do more games in the office and streaming things here and maybe on Twitch, things like that. So I'll probably be doing more live commentary. Of course, in that situation, I'll be a little bit closer to the action, and I'll be able to comment a little bit more directly on the cards. Plus, they're constructed, so we'll have more standardized cards. With this, when a draft, there's tons of different cards going around, so I probably won't be able to comment on every single one all the time. Just to let you guys know in advance. There are quite a few. See what we got here. I think we got one more pack to go after this. Yeah, this is one more pack to go territory. So I have done a few of these Munchkin CCG drafts in the office. We've done about 3 or 4 of those. And I'm not very good at drafting in general, but there are a few different strategies you can take as opposed to a normal constructed deck. So for those of you who've played collectible card games before, things like that, the strategy could be to take evasion or removal. Oh, we got Andrew Hackard here.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I have no idea. Me?
They can. I'll mute it for just a sec. I'll be right back, guys.
We could tell them the secret project I was working on, but we probably shouldn't.
Oh yeah, that's not a good idea. We don't want to give up secrets on air. Good thing I took it off of mute right there. That was Andrew Hackard coming in to check in. He is wandering around the Retailer Appreciation Day, teaching Munchkin and things of that nature. Wanted to check in on his CCG. So, going back to what I was saying, if you've played collectible card games before, drafting's a little bit different than a constructed game because in draft, you're having to kind of react to what's passed to you. And certain cards may be more valuable in draft than they would be in a normal game because since there's so many different types of cards, you might take cards that you wouldn't normally play in your deck. A lot of removal becomes good. But what I've done a few drafts. I've done a few different ways, and it seems like any strategies can be competitive if you focus on it. So I've tried drafting decks that are full of really cheap monsters that just attack really early, get in there, and try to finish the opponent off really fast, and they've done well. But they haven't been completely dominant because your opponent might get a bunch of loot in play that can actually kill them, so it really kills the momentum. I've also done some like Mischiefs decks that are more about direct damage and trying to kind of do the wizard thing where you're trying to hit them with kabooms, which do a lot of damage to the face, things like that, which can also work, but again, without enough monsters and loot, you might lose steam. So it's about balance in this game, especially in draft. But I haven't exactly found that balance. I usually try to focus on one strategy really hard, and then I'll do well with it until I hit the counter for it, and then I hit that counter and I'm just done. So, like my last draft, I did the Weenie Rush where it was just a lot of small characters or lots of small monsters, and then I hit someone that was playing a bunch of loot, and they just killed all my monsters. So there you go. We'll see what the drafters opt for here. But so far, it looks like a good variety of picks. They'll have a lot of different options. Once again, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask those. I will be asking these. Yes, Mike, to comment on Mike's comment there, you will hear the audio cut out occasionally. That is me putting the mic on mute. There's a lot of background noise and a lot of SJ Games employees that will come up and ask me questions while my stream is happening because they don't necessarily even know that I'm streaming or don't care that I'm streaming. So they will ask me questions while it's happening, and I definitely want to answer them for them. So you might just hear that cut out. So sorry about that. Just letting you know ahead of time. Nope, they're down to the last few cards here in this pack. believe they got one more. The next step, of course, this drafting is just the first part. They'll get a little bit of time to actually make a deck out of the cards they drafted with. They don't have to play with everything. They will have a few cards left over. With 4 packs, making a 30-card deck. That's another difference with draft decks. Instead of 40-card decks, you're making it 30 cards. It makes it a little bit easier. Makes it where you don't have to play every single card that you drafted. Gives you some options to make the deck with. But it's still a lot of strategy and stuff going on there. A lot of people actually prefer drafting to regular constructed play because they like opening booster packs and things like that. So that's just something to keep in mind for later. If you're interested in drafting and if you've played other collectible card games and like drafting, that this works perfectly for it. If you just buy a booster box or something like that and want to draft with your friends, or have a case of boosters and you go to a game store that has an organized play kit to get that Goldfish Wanderer. Hey, Andrew. Sorry, one sec, Andrew. I'll answer your question in just a moment. You might see some comments start appearing from Phil, who's the CEO of SJ Games. He will be commenting. He's just going to be putting in typed out answers to you guys' questions, so that people that come around later will be able to see that if they don't want to listen to the entire recording. But going to Andrew Hellen's question, what are the deck sizes and which hero deck would you recommend for someone who is newer to these type of card games like Netrunner, Magic, Legend of the Five Rings? First off, welcome. If you're newer to those types of games, I actually play all of those games, Netrunner, Magic, Legend of the Five Rings. I'm a big fan of card games. So the deck sizes they're 40 cards. The starter decks are actually 40 cards as well, so you can kind of get started right out of the starter decks. For the draft purposes, I did cover it a second ago, but they are going to be 30 card decks. That's just so you don't have to use every single card that you draft. It gives you some options. You can actually pick and choose the cards you use. But generally 40 card decks. And I'd say for a hero deck, for a choice, I don't think any of them are extremely difficult. I think each of them have a very focused strategy. All the strategies are different, but they are all fairly well focused and easy to learn. But I'd say one of the easier starter decks I've had to demo with has been the Warrior versus the Ranger deck. Warrior is fairly straightforward. It uses weapons. It also has a mechanic where if you overpay for monsters, the monsters can get stronger or do additional effects. The Ranger focuses on monsters, and it also has a lot of weapons or loot and monsters that have the effect Monstrous. You can either play them as a weapon or as a monster. It also lets you regenerate your monsters. So both of the decks are fairly straightforward. They're both very monster or loot focused, and they are very aggressive. So they're just trying to attack your opponent mostly. If you're not into just straight up attacking and still want something kind of straightforward, I'd say the Cleric is pretty simple. It's about preventing damage, healing, but it still has really beefy monsters. It also has monsters that have liposuction, which is when you damage, you heal yourself. So if you want something that'll kind of stick around for a long time, the Cleric's a good choice. Sorry about that tapping noise. The other 3 classes, for those of you that are just generally interested, Thief, Wizard, and Bard. I'd say of the 6 that I've played, I have gotten to play all 6 finally. It took me a while. I got stuck on the Warrior, and I was really into the Warrior. I'd say the 2 tougher ones maybe would be Bard and potentially the Thief. They're not very difficult, but the Bard is just a little bit... It's more subtle how strong she can be, because the Bard has the ability to pull stuff back from your stash. So your stash is where monsters and things that you bluff with go before they come back to your hand. So she can kind of return things back from the stash and reuse things on the same turn, which can be really strong if you remember to do it. The Thief is about cheating, so you have to be a good bluffer to use the Thief. That is one contingency. I'd say the Thief's probably the hardest to use if you're a bad bluffer, because you want to be caught cheating, and then once you're caught cheating once, the rest of your turn, your monsters might be stronger, your mischief spells might be stronger, things like that. So Mike asked, is it good to have a mix of offensive as well as defensive? It kind of depends on the deck you're playing. So I've mentioned before, in my drafts in the past, I've gone all offense, and I've done well with it up to a point. What I'd say is if you go all offense, you might have a good amount of loot to defend yourself with. So, like, there's a few different weapons you'll see pop up during the draft, especially like the Chainsaw Bloody Dismemberment. It's kind of a low-cost loot that you can get into play at level 2. Hammer Time's another really good one. The Stick of Poning, I think it's called, or something like that. I can't remember what that one is, actually. I'll have to see that one when it pops up. But it's another solid one. You need a way to defend yourself. That's the main thing. So your monsters are going to be all offensive mostly. You do want to have some loot to defend yourself, or you'll die faster than you can kill them if they have any loot to defend themselves. Another good way of doing that and mitigating the damage is if you have a decent amount of allies, because allies you can throw in front of attack and they'll just die, but they'll block all the damage from that monster. So that can save you a pretty big hit. As far as life goes, we just have tokens. The tokens are cardboard. You'll see them pop up as we start playing. They have like little green numbers on them, but they represent gold or damage. You just kind of put the tokens on your hero card to represent damage. There's 5s and 1s, so this token stack shouldn't get too huge. But you can use the D20 if you want to have a life counter or something like that. It's not necessary that all heroes will always have 20 life. They do all have 20 life in the first set. Later on, that might change depending on the hero, but we made the first 6 all have 20 life. Actually, in playtesting, they didn't all have 20 life, though. That wasn't actually something that's changed over time. I believe the Wizard and the Bard actually had less life, and the Warrior had more. And thanks, Phil, for chiming in on that comment there. Yep, the 304 cards in the first set. Expansions after that will have 124 cards. We do have the first 2 expansions already either at print or in development. And those will be out May and August, I believe, or May and September. No, that's right. May and August are the plans right now. Are there any elves in the game for Mike? Yes, actually, the Thief is an elf. So each of I keep referring to them by Warrior, Ranger, things like that, because I think of them in terms of their class, but they actually technically have a class and a race, kind of like in Munchkin. So there's a Centaur Warrior, the Halfling Ranger, the something Wizard, can't remember, I think it's Human Wizard. I think it's the only one that's confusing because it's human. The Dwarf Cleric, the Half-Orc Bard, and the Elf Thief. And that's the elf in the game. You'll notice on the cards, each of the cards has a different color. the color corresponds with the hero type. But in addition to that, the art is all done by one artist for each hero. The Elf Thief has Katie Cook art, which you may recognize from things like Munchkin Kittens, Munchkin Puppies. She's done a couple of guest artist editions for us for Munchkin, like Munchkin Oz guest artist edition, Munchkin Cthulhu guest artist edition. She also did Munchkin Spell School recently, so you can take a look at that if you want an example of her art. She's amazing. All of our artists are amazing. Laura D'Souza, Ian McGinty, tons. Tom Seidel, I think, did one of the characters. Just tons of different artists. We have 6 different ones, plus of course John Kovalik's doing art, and then we've got even more artists for the second set. Phil says the best deck is the Wizard. Boom. I actually like the Wizard quite a bit because the Wizard has access to a card called Kaboom. It costs 5, which is really expensive, but it does 5 damage to target hero or monster. So it can just for five gold do 5 damage to a hero, and that's awesome. And it looks like we are on to the last pack now. Almost finished with this draft, or with the drafting portion of the draft. I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. Once again, someone walks up. Gotta answer the question. And sharing the video with other viewers. Are there evolutions in this game? There are not. There are no evolutions. Certain other monsters that may or may not fit in your pocket already have a premium on evolution, so we decided not to go that route. And they are in deck building now, by the way, just so everyone knows where we're at. Sorry about that. Want to keep everyone up to date. With the gold, is it like the board game where you have to trade it? No. Don't think of the board game in reference to how this game plays. This is thematically similar to Munchkin, but gameplay-wise, nothing like Munchkin. You are not getting to level 10. You don't. You're not trying to get to level 10. You don't fight other people's monsters. You attack them with monsters, and you defend yourself with weapons. So to win, you're using that gold to hire monsters to attack your opponent. That's the best way to think of it. But I just want to make sure it's very clear, not Munchkin. This is Munchkin. It shares the name, but it's definitely a different game. You'll have Munchkin humor, Munchkin theming. So like a lot of the heroes and jokes in the game are references, instead of to RPGs, it's references to other collectible card games. There's a parody attitude towards it, but it's definitely not gameplay wise similar to Munchkin. Mike, the cost, we actually have in the comments here below if you want to take a look, but it's $3.95 for the boosters, $19.95 for the starters. There will be online videos. We actually already have some videos on our YouTube page and on Facebook to look at, so you can take a look there. Those will be linked in the description as well. And as far as an online game, we don't have an online game planned. It's just physical cards. Oh, John, how's it going? John's question is, are there subsets in the cards like magic colors or Pokemon types? There are kind of subsets in the cards. So in the first set, it's not as big of a deal to have subsets. There are some types, so like loot can be different types, like weapon, armor, and stuff like that. But I think what you're thinking of is oh wait, no, you're saying magic colors or Pokemon types. So that'd be the main colors. So in this game, there's 6. There's the colors correspond with a class. So you have red is warrior, green is ranger, blue is wizard, orange is Bard, purple is Thief, and yellow is Cleric. And those are all in the base set. You can't actually mix the different types. There is neutral cards, though. Those are great. So your normal deck would consist of 40 cards. You pick a hero. So say I pick the Centaur Warrior. She's red. I can use any red cards and any neutrals. I can't currently mix neutral, or it can't mix like Centaur with Cleric, things like that. You go with one class. You build out of that class. Right now we're doing a draft. So you're going to notice they have this little goldfish hero called the Goldfish Wanderer. That means that they can build their deck out of any cards that they draft. So it's a little bit different for draft, but that just helps us do a regular draft and get around the fact that there are 6 different types. So if you had to draft from one hero, it would be almost impossible to do. And if somebody wanted to hate draft you and take your heroes cards, then you might just not be able to make a deck. So we had to change it a little bit for draft. But for this, for normal play, you just build out of one of those 6 types. Thanks for that question, actually. Appreciate it. And thank you for everyone asking questions. I love answering these questions. If you have anything else, just let me know. It looks like we're getting to our first game. Again, these guys have made 30-card decks. Normally it's 40 cards, but for draft it's a little bit less. And just so everyone knows, this is taking place at our Retailer Appreciation Day. Each year we just send out a newsletter to all the retailers in our store finder, invite them down to come down and learn our new games, find out about our upcoming games, play our upcoming games. They get a bunch of free games, free swag, and we just show them a good time. And that's what we're doing today. So if you have a game store that isn't here, or you own a game store or work at a game store and are interested in this, swing on by. So make sure you sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get alerted to this. We have one every year around this time. And it looks like Steve Jackson just entered the building. He is walking over to the table now. I might be able to call him over to the table so he says hi to you guys. Mike asked, are there any energy like there is in Pokemon to use to attack and such? No, there's just gold. You hire the monsters with gold. Got to pay them off if you want them to work for you. Awesome. So just wanted to check in with our players there. Right now on air, we've got 2 of our stores from Houston, Texas, Space Cadets Gaming and Bedrock City. Bedrock City. My bad. Actually, stores I've been to. I'm from the Houston area originally, and I've been around there. I go home to visit for holidays, get to swing by. 2 great stores. Do a lot of our events there. So if you're in the area, great stores to visit. They are rolling to see who goes first now, and they're doing their first draw. Sam, the one of the game developers and designers, is explaining the mulligan rule. Players draw 6 cards to start the game. They have an option to mulligan, which means they can shuffle their entire hand back into your deck, draw 6 more cards, or they can just keep their hand. Beautiful. Sam has given his expert advice of, that's a tough one. What? How helpful. I'm going to toss my expert advice. If you don't have a monster that costs 2 or less, I would probably toss it. Yeah. It's... So it looks like our friend from Bedrock City is going for a mulligan. I believe Space Cadets is still looking at his hand, determining. I think he might keep that. Looks pretty good. Also good branding on the Space Cadet sticker right there on the iPhone case. Nice. He's got it on lock. And thanks to all of you for joining us from the board game group and the board game spotlight group. We are sharing it there. I know we've had some questions from people in those groups. I've personally seen them and tried to answer what I could, but figured that for those of you that are interested in the game, that hadn't had a chance to take a look at it because you're not following us on Facebook, this would be an easier way to get it to you guys than having you just have to like us on Facebook all the time. But if you would like to see more, definitely like the page, because we do Facebook Lives every Thursday and try to keep it really consistent. Occasionally there might be a convention that might prevent us from doing that, but just so you're aware, you can definitely like us here. We try to do regular content. So if you're interested in stuff like this, you can also like the Facebook page, Munchkin Collectible card game Facebook page, which is a separate page, but is starting to grow a little bit more as well. So like both those. I'll link both of those in the description. I haven't actually done that yet, but it is coming now. There we go. There we go, updated the description with a little bit more information. We also have a brand new Munchkin Collectible card game website, so if you're interested in that, it looks very snazzy. I'm very happy with the way that site came out. And we actually just posted a new video on there. There's some articles and things like that that'll be going up throughout the rest of this year and into the release of the game. We've got a lot of new articles, designers' notes, developers' notes, tons of playthroughs, things like that we'll be doing. give that one a haha. Let's see where we're at here. So it looks like we've got Barbarian the Librarian in play. It's good. The first turn's going to take a little bit to get down. Sam's kind of walking them through it, but essentially what happened is he used his gold to play Barbarian the Librarian, which is an ally. At the end of the turn, he went to level 2 and got 2 gold. It goes over to his opponent from Space Cadets. He's got 2 gold, you'll notice up in the top left there, but he gets that because he's second player. You get an extra gold your first turn if you go second. There's already high-fiving going on. These opponents are not taking this seriously. I'm joking, guys. I need you guys to high five and be less cool, and I need you to be aggressive to each other, like punch them. There it is. Perfect. Yeah, y'all are being way too nice. Y'all got to be really aggressive. Perfect. We got some good sports. That's great. So it looks like he's got a loot in play. I believe that's an 11-foot pole. Ooh, we got our first attack coming down. Potential attack. We'll see if he's cheating or not. Is it a bluff? Is it a monster? Will we know? He's might be deciding against it. Okay, so his opponent has a couple options. He could run away. He could assign his ally to this combat, but he's going to see it. Let's see what it is. It is a monster. Okay, so this is Punch McFacey, and he is pretty strong. Okay, he's got to guess which hand is the gold in. Oh, there it is. Nothing. There it is. That's going to make it Punch McFacey just a little bit stronger. So he gets punched in his own face. Punch McFacey's a really fun little one. I like that monster a lot. So, since he didn't run away, and since he didn't assign an ally to defend for him, he's going to be taking some damage directly to his hero. So the way Punch McFacey works is he put that gold token in his hand. His opponent has to guess which hand it is. If he gets it right, he gets a gold. If he gets it wrong, he takes a damage. So Punch McFacey did a damage, and then he did an extra damage. I think that's it for his turn. So, as you can see, the 11-foot pole didn't actually cost gold. It just has to equal your level. So that goes. That's Punch McFacey going over to the stash, and that's his turn. So he's going to level up. Gets his gold. Cool. That is good. To answer your question, Mike, just saw that one pop up and just refresh. Stores will be getting a game in February 2018. And as far as pre-releases, we are looking at having some pre-releases. It won't be necessarily like every store has a pre-release. There might be select stores doing it, things of that nature. Oh, and there's another Punch McFacey. So he did take the damage from Punch McFacey's ability, but he did not. He did get to prevent some damage there, I believe it was. So he didn't kill Punch McFacey, and he did take damage from his ability, but he didn't take damage from Punch McFacey's actual damage. So he prevented one of the damage, it looks like. And that's going to be the end of his turn. He's going to level up to level 3, move on. Looks like he doesn't have a ton of low-cost stuff. Perfect. Just had a quick rules question there. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. You'll notice Philip Reed posting some comments here. He's just putting text answers to some of the questions you guys are asking right now, so that people coming along later might be able to find them. Thank you, Phil, for that. He's the CEO of Steve Jackson Games. You may know him from Frag. So we got another monster coming in. He's going to see it. It is Punch McFacey. And here we go with the guessing game, one of my favorite parts. There's a lot of dexterity elements like that, where you're picking hands. The drop bear actually. Oh, he gets hit again. Oh man, these Punch McFacey pulls are pretty rough. It's not going well. Shoryuken. He is really saving that barbarian, the librarian. Another quick rules question. No hand limit. You're good. Are the playmats going to be available at retail? We are looking at having playmats after the game comes out. These particular playmats are for recording purposes and events. These are things that we handmade in the office. So these particular playmats won't be coming out to game stores. But we are looking at accessories and cool stuff in the future. We'll keep you posted on that one. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, we got a lot of loot coming in. So we got, I believe that's biodegradable armor. I might be wrong. I'll have to take a look at that. And then he's got another piece of loot to the right of that. So he's able to stock up. Got a 3 cost come in, or supposed 3 cost. Let's see what happens. He's gonna see it. Oh, the drop bear, yeah. We get to it. I love this one. So he's gonna have to hold it above the board, and he's gonna try to drop it on his opponent's hero to do some extra damage. Let's see if this works. Oh, and he missed. Okay, it fell off the table even. But the drop bear does do some damage. It does 3 damage. So it's... Yeah. Yeah, that... Yeah. So he does 3 damage, so he did a good chunk of damage. Even if he had landed on the hero, it would have done 2 extra damage. So, neat little bonus. Unfortunately, did not get that bonus damage. Oh, another monster coming down, potentially. I don't think I've seen a runaway used. I might be wrong. I had to flip away from it for a sec. Oh, it's Punch McFacey. Oh, we have a problem. Oh, and the bonus damage. These guys are just calling each other's bluffs, and nothing is a bluff. This is awesome. I'm pretty sure this is as aggressive as the game gets. Okay, cool. So it looks like we've got the location there. I think this is just desert. Has an effect during the reckoning step. So the way this has worked, this is the Just Desert. During the Reckoning step, at the beginning of each person's turn, they get to do 2 damage to a monster in a stash. You'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, top right, his stash has a Drop Bear and a Punch McFacey. Unfortunately, the Reckoning step for this turn is already passed, so he's not going to get to take advantage of his own land just yet, or own location just yet. That is a location. Each player does get 1 location they can play. He could replace it with a different location later if he wanted to. And looks like he's got another piece of loot. And here comes a potential monster. Now, his opponent's got quite a few things to defend with now, so he has some options. Let's see if he does it or if he gets face checked. No. Here comes Barbarian. RNGesus. So he gets to roll a die, and however he rolls is how much damage he does. Oh! Party foul. It's a 3. Okay, so that means the Barbarian Librarian's going to take all 3 of that. So he does block all the damage, but he gets squished. It does not bleed over for allies. So Barbarian gets squished. He spends his 3 gold. And does he have anything else? That is a tough one. And that's another thing to take note of, that your stash can still be targeted until you put it back into your hand. Will he run? Will he do it? He is taking Punch McFacey's to the face. This is brutal. Here comes the guessing game. Will he get it this time? He'll get it. I believe a Princess Bride situation is happening right now. He got it! There it is. Our first Punch McFacey. The guess was correct. It means he does not take the bonus damage. He still takes the regular damage, but it's not the bonus. So that's good. I'm a big fan of Punch McFacey, gotta be honest. So the desert's kind of drying their monsters out. It's not good. Oh, we got a monster in play.
Good afternoon, just barely.
Would you like to say hello to the fans? We got a live stream.
I can say hello. Is this a live stream?
This is a live stream of the CCG.
Hello, people. Thank you for checking in. We're watching the Munchkin CCG draft,
Ooh, got a monster.
and the monster's out. Okay.
There you go. And he took some damage. These guys are being very aggressive. As you can
Good.
see, the damage is piling up.
Yes. You don't hit, you don't win.
There you go. Straight from the horse's mouth. That was Steve Jackson. He is here at Retailer Appreciation Day. As I mentioned before, we are hosting all these awesome retailers from around the country, showing them all our games, all our upcoming stuff. It's our first taste of the Munchkin CCG for a lot of people, so we're trying to give it a good first taste. And please, if you have any questions, please ask them. Try to get back to the action here. So we had a few monsters come in and some damage taken. Looks like right side Bedrock City Games is stabilized. Left side has 8 damage on them, so it's taking a little bit more hits there, I'd say. And running low on cards too. Only 3 cards in hand. Here comes something. 3 gold. His opponent still has all of his runaway. His options are available. Oh, he's taking it. It's RNGesus. He is going to take 6 damage. Ouch. Oh, what do we have? Oh, you got to run away before it's revealed. Yeah. Sorry about that. Wasn't clear on that one. Oh yeah, he's got some prevention. There you go. Yeah, totally works. Cool. And while we're doing that, we've got a few games going on left and right of us. Our Triplanetary table, if you've noticed, Steve has actually mentioned that before. If you've been following us on Twitter at SJ Games or Facebook, we've talked about it, or on Board Game Geek, we are going to be reprinting Triplanetary, or at least hoping to. We're going to be putting it on a Kickstarter later this year is the goal. We've also got the Ogre Miniatures Set 2 Kickstarter launching later this year. And Set 1 is delivering right before that, so we're really excited about that. I'm just looking to the left or right of me at what else we're showing off to retailers here. Just wanted to mention that. So just to go through what just happened, our opponent thought he could run away from the RNGesus after it was revealed. That wasn't clear to him. So I explained that they had to run away before it's revealed. And they went back, and he just pretty much used his armor to prevent some of that damage. Looks like Mike asks, I'm seeing different booster packs. Are there advantages to having different cards from the booster packs? Is there themes with each? So as far as the initial question, the first set just has one type of booster pack. It's cards from the base set. So your starters are pre-built and completely playable, but the more packs you get, the more options you get. So theoretically, you might find better combinations that you like out of the booster packs to add to your deck. If you're talking about the future sets, so we'll have Desolation of Blarg and Fast and Furious. Those are coming out later in 2018. Those will have completely different themes. They still have the same heroes, at least the first two expansions do. So they'll still have cards that work with these initial 6 heroes. They'll just have different options. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's just new stuff. And it's however you want to build your deck pretty much from there. So he's doing some damage to a stashed character there, trying to finish him off. And here comes potentially a monster. Oh, he's zapping the Chainsaw Bloody Dismemberment. Let's see. Does it kill the monster? So it did some damage. And the chainsaw blocked all that damage. Let's see, ready. just explaining some things right now. Sam is on board. See if any questions here. Have to refresh the stream occasionally. Nope, nothing so far. If you have any questions, feel free to ask though. Looks like it's kind of evened out here a bit. So he has to survive the fight. So they did the reckoning to hit him with the cactus so they're remembering. I like where they're actually putting that location to keep it in everyone's mind. I'm really bad about forgetting locations as I'm playing. Sure. No, you can have one in play, and he can have one in play, but yeah. Had a quick couple of questions on the rules there. Sorry if you heard me yell at that. And thank you very much for those that are sticking with us here. This is actually one of our most viewed videos right off the bat here. We have a lot of live viewers. So I will say the person on the right, our friend from Bedrock City Games, is... Oop. Oh, here comes the chainsaw. Oh, no. You do get to do the drop. He gets a chance. So he did kill the drop bear, but here comes the chance. Oh. It's tough. It is tough. So the drop bear dies. Or gets squished. Shouldn't say dies. He's not dead, he's squished. It's completely different. It's legally distinct. Everything is legally distinct. So, let's see what we got. Oh, he's just taking it. Yep, so he takes an additional damage. So that gets a little bit of a buff. Excuse me. So Walking Dreads came through. He's leveling up. Okay, so he did some extra damage, but I will say that he's still one behind our friend from Bedrock City on the right here. But they're both running low on supplies. Let's see. That desert is eating them up. Sorry, I had to answer a quick rules question. So this is our first draft today. We're just going to have one game, and then we'll jump into another draft in the afternoon. Jump into a question real quick while this is going on. Andrew Helland asks, based on these in-office pre-release games, which hero do you find is winning a large percentage of games? Did any hero jump out as strong early on, or have the win percentages been balanced? Pretty balanced. We've been playing mainly with the starters, at least for our pre-release, not for our former playtesting. As far as balance issues, most of those were hammered out as far as like real balance issues in playtesting way earlier on. Our games in the office are mainly just with what's going to be coming out to you guys. There haven't been... I don't know if I have a large enough sample size to say any of them win more off than others. All the heroes play fairly balanced. I don't think there's... some of them may be a little more complicated to play, but they're not necessarily stronger or worse. Like the Thief, I'd say, is a little bit harder for some players because you have to be a good bluffer to win with them. Or to use their effects to their highest effect, I guess. That's words came out weird there, but with the Thief, you want to be caught cheating, and then her creatures get really strong. So to use her at her highest ability, once again, words not coming out well. You have to be good at bluffing. She's still good if you're not great at bluffing, but she's way better if you can bluff. Didn't really answer your question, but there's not really... I guess the answer to your question is there's not really one that's winning a higher percentage of games. If there was one, there'd be a problem, because then there'd be a balance issue. So on the left-hand side here, our Space Cadets Space Cadets Games from Houston has got 14 damage on him. On the right, that's Bedrock City in Houston. They have 8. So they're both hit pretty hard, but I'd say 14 is worse than 8. So he needs to mount a comeback here. Just a clear note here. Bedrock City from Houston, Texas has won that game. I was told to say this, but I will say the branding for Space Cadets has been on point. He has had that sticker in frame the entire game. Subtle. Did y'all enjoy it? Cool. Yeah, please, go for it. They are going to shuffle it up and run it back. And I am smelling lunch. That smells good. Just doing a quick reset here. Looks like they're in the mulligan section here. Sorry, guys, I had another person ask me a question here. So, joining the game, I believe we're on turn 3 already? 3 already, I believe. Got a couple pieces of loot in play. Our friend from Space Cadets has already taken 3 damage from some monsters. Looks like they might be taking some more here. No, we're on turn 2 now, sorry. It looks like our, you notice he changed level there. He just forgot to level up at the end of last turn and getting his gold. Let's see what we got. Looks like he's got a hand of stuff here. A lot of options. We'll see what happens. Okay, guys. Looks like we're about to head over to lunch. They are running through a second game here. Looks like he ran away there. Might be cutting it short here in a second, though. Just a warning. But we will be back with another full draft after this. Mike asked, are there weaknesses between the different classes and advantages between each classes? So not like weakness and resistance or something like that, but we do have... certain classes are better at certain things. So I'd say the Warrior has really good weapons, has the ability to do damage directly with weapons, and has the ability to overpay for monsters to make them stronger. Ranger can regenerate monsters, so they're a little more resilient to kill spells and damage spells. They can keep their monsters around a little bit longer. The Wizard's really good at direct damage, but isn't necessarily as good at monsters or loot. So Wizard does a lot with mischief cards and spells, but doesn't have a lot of defense, I'd say. The Thief can cheat and make all of her stuff better, but if you aren't good at bluffing, her stuff is fairly average. So, like her monsters, her loot, stuff like that. So, you need to be good at bluffing. Bard is a little tricky to use, but he has the benefit of continually reusing monsters. So, if they run away from a monster that goes to your stash, you can use her ability to get the monster back and use it again that turn. So they can kind of wear you down really easily in that regard. I would say her loot isn't great, but her monsters are awesome. Cleric's great at preventing damage, healing damage, tanking. So I'd say he's better at defensively than offensively. Some of his monsters are a little more expensive, but better with health, not as good at damage. So Daniel asked, yes, as to the heroes, will there be more race class combos to vary hero abilities as per Munchkin Classic? Not out of the gate. The heroes are specifically, you build around that hero. So like if I play as the Centaur Warrior, you put cards in your deck that are either associated with the Warrior or neutral. So you can't mix the Cleric and the Warrior, things like that. In the future sets, completely, like down the road a bit, when we come out with the new base set, we'll probably have some new heroes associated with that. So it might be seeing new colors come in, things like that. There's a lot of places where we can grow in that regard, but the initial start, you're going to have 6 race class combos. and that is the choices you have. You build around those heroes, essentially. It's meant to be thematically similar to Munchkin, but you're not going to be. It's not going to be pick this hero, pick this class, mix them together. You're going. It's a little more defined than that. Got a monster coming in here, 2 costs potentially, and it was. Oh, that's Glassjaw. That's one of my favorites. He's a strong snake who does 3 damage, and he can't be targeted. And it looks like our friend here is getting beat up. That was a lot of damage. And there's the level up. He's in his turn. Thanks again for all these questions, guys. I really appreciate it. This has been a really active stream. Hopefully we get a lot of people in the afternoon. Lunch won't be taking too long, but we'll get some fresh faces on the stream, or fresh arms on the stream, if you will. And I will continue answering questions as they come in. So just stay tuned for that. Excuse me, stay tuned for that. I'm gonna. Oops. Having some card discussion with Sam. Developers on this, designers were Eric Lang and Kevin Wilson, who Eric Lang's done stuff like Blood Rage, Kevin's done Descent, Journeys in the Dark, tons of other stuff. Both of them very prolific, but we have developers in-house, Sam Mischke and Randy Schuneman, who have been working on the game a lot, kind of fine-tuning some things, tweaking a few things here and there. So Sam is on this table talking with the players about some of the cards. Randy's running demos on another one. Here comes a 1 cost. Probably going to be that Walking Dreads for 1 damage. It really stinks having to take damage from a Walking Dreads knowing that they can just do that. Sorry, my feed was a little bit behind. Looks like they just ran away that one. Nothing else. Level up. Here we go. Now, Walking Dreads keeps getting 1 damage through here and there. Gets painful. Nope, there's the runaway token. Technical flips at the beginning of the turn, but occasionally get it. Another question, Mike. So we did cover that in our walkthrough. How does leveling up work? So leveling up it happens automatically at the end of your turn. So you start at level 1, and you get 1 gold. At the end of your turn, whenever you've done all your stuff, hired your monsters, done all your stuff, you level up to the next level. So you go to level 2, and then you take gold until you have as much gold equal to your level. So if you have no gold, you go up to level 2, so you'd get 2 gold. If you have more than 2 gold for some reason, you would just stay at whatever gold you have. You level up automatically. It is not it's just a matter of how much gold you have and how much loot you can have in play. The little stars on the loot indicate the amount of, like, if you have a level 1 loot, you need to have at least 1 level to do it. If you want to add a level 2 loot to that, you'd have to be at least level 3, 1 plus 2. This level just keeps track of how much gold you get and how much loot you can have in play. Good question. I would definitely recommend checking out our walkthroughs that we've posted. If you want to check out some more in-depth, like leveling up and things like that, we take it turn by turn, very, very slowly. Sorry about that sound. That's me setting my phone down because I'm also tweeting as this is going on. So. Friends got some loot and play finally. That's good. Well, guys, it looks like it's coming to lunchtime for me over here, actually. I am going to cut this off for right now, but again, I will be back with even more coverage of the Munchkin Collectible card game. We'll be back after lunch with another live stream, and I'm going to see what this monster is first before I do it. But, yep. There it goes. Let's see what it is. Will we see it? Oh. Maybe we won't. Okay. Don't know if we'll be able to see it. Looks like they're going through some rules here. So, guys, let me cut it off for now. And I will be back after lunch. Thank you guys for joining us. Stay tuned for more. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's Glass Shot. Cool. It's a boost. Yeah, it's 14. That's real rough. Yeah, I think we know how this one's going to end, guys. I will see you after lunch.